Good morning to you. Mark Sudduth, HurricaneTrack.com, here with your Hurricane Pro and HD video blog for the 16th of August, 2013. Lo and behold, Aaron has succumbed to the dry air that is prevalent all across the eastern Atlantic here. Now it's just a tropical depression. And if we look at a satellite shot of that region, you can clearly see, even on the wide view here, just a well-defined swirl of clouds now, just a tropical depression. All this dry air that's sitting out here really taking its toll on the system. It ingested that dry air, and like a hair dryer on a steamed up bathroom mirror, down the convection went, or in the case of the bathroom mirror, away goes the moisture, and you start to see things clearly. And the same holds true in the tropics here. When these things ingest dry air, they tend to lose that deep convection. But what's neat about it is you can really see the structure, the banding associated with it. A well-developed tropical cyclone. It just doesn't have much deep convection with it. This system is curious. I'll be watching this closely over the next few days. Maybe it'll get a mention on the tropical weather outlook eventually as it moves off to the west-northwest here. Out of this dry air zone, this may have to be dealt with down the road. None of the models really doing much with it, but it's just kind of there, sneaking in under the pattern. And this right here is the low-level center of what is Invest Area 92L in the Gulf of Mexico. It has a little bit of an opportunity to develop. The low-level center may head in towards this way, somewhere northern Mexico, maybe southern Texas, while the upper-level energy, or the thicker clouds anyway, could get sort of torn off and whisked into this trough that's sitting up here. Thus the system could get separated even more than it is now. If that doesn't happen, and I'm going to put this into motion for you so you can see it as a loop, if it doesn't get separated, then it has a pretty good chance of becoming a tropical depression, or maybe even a tropical storm, before it finally moves inland, like I said, maybe over Mexico, or possibly South Texas. We'll see. It would be nice to get some of this moisture to work its way up towards the Texas coastline, and at least bring some rainfall. Luckily, none of the computer models, at least the reliable intensity models, doing much with it. The Hurricane Weather Research Forecast model, the HWRF, making it into a hurricane, but I think it still has some problems that need to be worked out. All the rest show moderate strengthening at best, maybe as a tropical storm. You notice that it is lopsided. All the bad weather is on the east side of the circulation, typical of a sheared system, and one that is not bundling the energy around that common low pressure area. This is the area right here out in the central Atlantic around 45 west that I'm watching. Be interesting to see if it gets a mention on the tropical weather outlook. There's just a little bit of rotation with it, a little bit of counterclockwise rotation, and maybe it'll do something as it approaches the Windward Islands. It's definitely a large bundle of moisture, and this whole envelope will eventually get over to the Windward and Leeward Islands, so you folks be ready for a passage of a lot of shower and thunderstorm activity in about 3 to 4 days. Other than that, the tropics are nice and quiet. We will be watching the eastern Atlantic for more development, especially since the MJO, or the Madden-Julian oscillation, let me zoom in on this graphic, seems to be getting more favorable. This is the Euro, the ECMWF forecast. Right now, the MJO not very prevalent, but over the next couple of weeks, the Euro very aggressive here, with it getting into phases 1 and phase 2, which research has shown from Dr. Phil Klotzbach and Dr. William Gray in particular. When the MJO moves into these phases, the Atlantic basin comes to life with favorable upward motion conditions. In other words, the upper level winds support much better the development of tropical convection, and that particular this particular run of the Euro really indicating as we get into the latter part of the month and in the first part of September, a much more favorable pattern coming into the Atlantic basin. So I think things are going to stay busy and get busier, and it won't be too long that we'll see our first hurricane, although it's not going to be Aaron, and it's probably not going to be 92L, more like a player to be named later coming off of Africa probably. We'll see. At least for the weekend, though, no major issues. Whatever happens with 92L, A little bit of a disruptive impact pattern with it, but nothing compared to a hurricane, of course. So that's good news. Have a good rest of your Friday. Again, I'm Mark Sudduth. HurricaneTrack.com is my site. Check it out sometime if you haven't already. And it's always a privilege to produce these videos. Hopefully you'll learn something from them each day that I do these for Hurricane Pro in HD. And I'll be back throughout the weekend with more.